Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to talk about horror. And unfortunately, I'm still waiting for The Black Phone to be released here in the Netherlands to go and watch it and let you guys know what I thought of it, because I'm really excited about that one. But meanwhile, I decided to binge a show on Netflix and let you know what I thought about it. It is a new teenage vampire show called The First Kill.
It's coffee time!
First Kill just came out in June and I was interested on it because it is based on a short story by B.E. Schwab, which is an author that I have always enjoyed. It is mainly a YA and middle grade author that mostly has some fantasy books and some dark stories, and I've always really vibed with her books. Now, this is a short story that I have not read that is part of a compilation of short stories all based on vampires. It's called Vampires Never Get Old, Tales with a Fresh Bite, and it came out in 2020. It's still on my list of books that I want to get because I've always loved vampires since an early age. So I was really excited about this show. I think it was released on the 10th of June and I have been waiting to binge it. And it has a total of episodes and they go from 40 to 50 minutes more or less. Today, as you can see, we're joined by my cat, Dr. Michael Morbius. He has mommy issues. And he always needs to be where I am. So that being said, I'm here to talk to you about the show, spoiler free, let you know what I liked, what I maybe didn't like, and if you should watch it or not. So I was really intrigued about this show because there's not only vampires here, there's also other types of monsters, you know, which automatically reminds you to other shows like Buffy. So I was excited to see if it was gonna be something like that. And also we have here LGBTQ plus representation, which I'm really glad to see in a show like this. This horror drama and mystery series is the story about vampires and those who hunt them, along with many other monsters. Also, at the heart of the story, we have two teenage girls who have fallen in love. My first impression of the show is that it was going to be a little bit old school, perhaps, and fun, just based on the opening credits, which were an interesting choice for, you know, a show that's coming out just now in 2022. And I thought it was going to be goofy at times, but it's also a lot of drama, so it's not exactly a comedy. I like the way that they did the first episode because the first half of the episode, we hear the story from the teenage girl that is a vampire, and the second half of the episode, it is kind of the story told from the perspective of the other teenage girl who is the monster hunter. So I thought it was a really nice way to kind of let us know the two different families that we are dealing here with. And obviously in that first episode, you already know that these two teenage girls have an interest for each other. So there's always this kind of Romeo and Juliet thing going on in the show with the two houses supposed to hate each other, but you know, their kids love each other. So it does have that kind of Romeo and Juliet storyline going. I mean, the vampire girl is called Juliet, that's what I'm saying. And when it comes to the monsters, you know, I feel like they were going for something retro. They were going a little bit for more CGI, goofy kind of type of monsters, but it is a choice. Some people might like it, some people might not like it. You can see from the beginning that they are trying to be something similar to Buffy. At the end of the day, I feel like there are some things, some parallels that you can find between this show and Buffy, but there were also some inconsistencies to the story, like the fact that the vampire family is trying to hide that they are vampires from everybody else, but then later on in the show we know that humans are aware that vampires and monsters exist. So what was the point of hiding it anyways? I guess they just don't want to be persecuted and hunted down or whatever, but it felt at the beginning like they had to protect themselves because nobody knew vampires existed. But I mean, that might be me just being a little bit picky. Maybe they could have explained that in another way. When it comes to these show and the monsters, it is a really interesting concept because this show is not just about monsters that we know like zombies and ghouls and things like that. It's also about people and the choices that we make, and if we would be able to make choices to hurt others, things like that. So it does have a little bit of a deeper meaning to it. There is a fair amount of violence in the show, and I do like the way that kind of some monsters are introduced in the show. We also get to see zombies that are not slow at all. They're actually fast. So I like that they are just breaking some stereotypes and just embracing their own, you know, rules for the monsters in that regard. Even though when it comes to the vampires, it's kind of classic, you know, silver hurts them. Some vampires, it's kind of like similar to the originals in Vampire Diaries. Some vampires that are more powerful or older can be under the sunlight, others cannot. So the stakes work, like all of those things. It's kind of something we've already seen before when it comes to vampires. And like I've mentioned before, when it comes to the monsters, there is a lot of use of CGI and a lot of shots that can be a little bit goofy. It does look unrealistic at times, and I think it was a choice that they made. You know, they wanted to be something similar to shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Supernatural, where the special effects, you know, can be a little bit goofy because it's kind of part of, you know, the essence and how the show is. So this was a choice that I think they did consciously and knowing. I'm more a fan of, you know, practical effects, as you guys know, but this didn't stop me from enjoying the show. Even though the characters are really well written and I did feel like I believed these families and their background, and they do try to give us some background on the families and everything they've been through, at least a little bit on the first season. But we also have some tropes and cliches, you know, like the ice cold mother and the bitchy sister, and it is tropey in many ways as well. I feel like the strongest characters were supposed to be obviously our two main girls that fall in love, even though they come from families that are in rivalry. The problem with that was that it was done so quickly that it was a little bit harder to believe that they were so into each other, and all their conversations are about their families and how their families hate each other. So it was hard to really see the bond between them and that romance, so it felt a little bit cold. So I feel like they might have relayed a little bit on the fact that maybe people would ship these characters and they didn't focus on, you know, bringing that romance to the screen a little bit more. I mean, I get that maybe they didn't want this to get too romantic and they wanted to bring a more action-packed show, but I feel like it kind of backfired just a little bit. I do like, you know, the concept of the show that it's called First Kill, because both teenagers are supposed to have their first kill. Juliet as a vampire is supposed to kill her first human, and Cal as a monster hunter is supposed to hunt her first monster and kill it, which obviously, you know, it puts them basically as enemies in the show, even though they love each other. So my final thoughts on the show is that if you do not mind a little bit of cheesiness, a little bit of teenage drama, and you don't mind some tropes, you might really have a lot of fun with this show. Honestly, I think it's entertaining. I think it could have been better, but I still had a good time with it. The story is a story you've heard before, you know, enemies to lovers, Romeo and Juliet, all of those things. It's kind of similar in a lot of ways. I feel like a lot more to Vampire Diaries perhaps than to Buffy, because we also have something similar to the original vampires in this show. They're called legends, but it's kind of a similar concept in a way. I feel like they were going for something dark and goofy like Buffy, but at the end of the day it ended up being more of a soapy teen drama. But don't let that, you know, put you off from the show, because there is some nice kills, there is some nice action moments, but it's going to be a little bit cheesy. So just putting it out there. I mean, I think for a one-time watch it was fun. I did binge it in like 2 days. I don't know if they're gonna get a second season. I don't think it has been confirmed yet, but if you like vampires and if you don't mind teenage shows, definitely give this one a watch. Alright you guys, so these were my spoiler-free thoughts on First Kill, a new vampire show streaming now on Netflix. Let me know down below what you thought about the show. Have you watched it? Are you even gonna watch it? Let me know in the comments down below. If there's any specific show that it's an exclusive anywhere, let me know. If you want me to review it, maybe I have access to it, I will be glad to check it out and let you guys know my thoughts on it. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye! Alright, so today, as you can see, we're joined by my cat, Dr. Michael Morbius, and he's eating my collectibles. Excuse you.